Hi there, I'm Jeff Jones. I am bringing you a prenatal yoga today. It can be done at any stage of your pregnancy. Currently, I am 37 weeks, and what you'll find throughout your stay is depending on what stage you're at, you might find that you can do a little bit more, or maybe you want to do a little bit less, and there'll be modification options along the way. Just know that you can listen to your body and be guided by your breath the whole way through. We're going to begin together in a gentle Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. So the soles of the feet are together. And you'll notice that I'm sitting up on a blanket. That helps to elevate the hips, makes the pelvis kind of want to tip a little bit forward into that anterior pelvic tilt. And also I use that later on for the knees. The knees get a little bit more tender. I've got a couple of blocks that you might like over. And I have a bolster for when we're lying down. It look like a bed post if you don't have a bolster. Starting in this gentle shape here with the soles of the feet together and just inviting the knees to fall over. Resting the hands either onto the feet, the ankles, or the knees. Go ahead and give your shoulders a bit of a roll up, back, and down. And you'll take 2 more big rolls of the shoulders. So start to feel into your own breath. And if you let those shoulders step back next time, keep them drawn gently back, gently down away from the ear. And draw your breath in through the nose, feel the belly expand. And your breath back out through the nose, your belly goes. We'll take a few circles here. So the torso will tip over towards the right, across over the feet, to the left, and then you might lean back. Here's where holding on to the feet or the ankles or knees really feels quite nice. Just really lean back, giving the hips, the pelvis, the belly a little bit more room. And give yourself just another breath. And as you come to your 12 feet, you might find that just sitting here, this is enough, or maybe a gentle tipping forward from the hips. Hands might be there on the floor to support you. Good, and from here, we'll just gently circle through the neck. So drop the chin down towards the throat. Circle the head to the right, behind, over to the left. Just a few rounds. Feeling into your body. Listening to what it might need as you step onto your mat. Picking back up to that tall seat. This time, let's just take one big shoulder roll, ensuring that the shoulders are drawn down the middle of the back. This time we start our circle tilt. Circling breath a little bit bigger. Creating a little more freedom of movement. Yeah, you can invite the shoulders, the rest of the torso. And that feels good. Using this initial portion of our practice to drop into our body and to ground our awareness. Come back into the center. And again, if you prefer to sit tall, you can stay or you can tip forward. We have a few more of those gentle neck rolls here, dropping chin to the throat, taking the head around to the left, spine to the right. And your circles might be quite a bit smaller or bigger, whatever feels really good for you. Nice and tall. Good. So you're going to keep this butterfly-like shape. We're going to set up to lie backwards. And so if you are a little bit later on in your pregnancy. Second, instead of trimester, you really might love to set up some blocks here, okay, behind you. Maybe lay your cushion, your blanket, or your bolster over top. So I've set my blocks up so they look like a T, but I don't want the bolster to stay right on the top. I want to have it forward so that it can just skip to the floor. Yeah, that way the upper body can remain elevated. Hold the feet together here. Get a little bit closer to the edge of the pillow or bolster. If you are more comfortable or still comfortable lying on your back, you're welcome to do this without any props or support. Try to find the back of the neck nice and long, the shoulders down, and then the arms straightening up by the side. Now, if there's any discomfort here in the inner thighs or the pelvic floor or the groin, supporting the outer thighs here or knees with blocks or cushions is a really great option. You should rest both hands either out to the side to open the chest, or if you're with me, this is a time we really want to connect with our base. So rest the hands somewhere on the belly, perhaps belly and heart if you prefer. And we're going to drop in now to this connection with our own heart and that of base by breathing in through the nose, feeling our breath pass through our heart center, draw it down into that of base. That expansion is shown through a rise of the abdomen, and then an exhale breath just softening around the abdomen. Releasing breath out through the tip of the nose if you can. If you need to, exhaling through the mouth. And we just bridge this gap from our own body to that of baby, creating a deeper, more profound connection through breath and energy, through awareness and intention. Allowing the knees to just drape open a little bit further here. This butterfly or Baddha Konasana, and all of its variations are the best shape for us throughout our pregnancy and in preparation for birth. Open the hips, alleviate pain and pressure around the pelvis, the lower spine. Make room for baby when they're ready to arrive. We have just a couple more breaths here, and I want you to start to deepen that breath, not just feeling the rise and fall of the belly, but can you deepen it now into the sides of the ribs, the back of the ribs? There's almost a pressing of the back body into the bolster or mat support beneath you. So that each breath in actually expands in all directions, makes even more room. If later on in pregnancy, starting to notice things feeling a little bit tighter, room for the little one to move around. So these bigger breaths might actually facilitate a bit more movement for them. They really use that space. And with these deeper, bigger, more expansive breaths in all directions, really useful throughout our contract. Inevitable stuff. Give myself one more full, connecting our whole heart to that of baby. Fly this next breath out through the mouth. Go and just return the feet to the floor. It'll be about as wide as the edge of the mat, maybe even wider. Let the knees just drop together. And stretch your arms back overhead, whether they're resting on the floor or at the edge of the bolster. I'm going to latch onto each elbow with the opposite hand. Imagine someone just gently pulling elbows, forearms towards the back edge or top edge of your mat here. Feeling into the natural rhythm of your breath, still an expansion and a release. If there is an intention or a sense that comes to mind or heart here that is guiding you through your practice, please bring that to the forefront. You'll have otherwise just allowing this to be a time out just for you, connect to yourself and to your faith. We're coming up from any lying or supine position at any stage of your pregnancy. We never want to do a sit up here. We're going to roll off to the side, use the help of the hands to press up. And here you'll prop out of the way. You'd like those blocks back up near the front edge of the mat. And if you're noticing any tenderness or sensitivity in the knees, you'll want to add a blanket across the mat here, okay, just for those things. We're going to come towards a full point kneeling position. Hands will be underneath the shoulder, knees under the hip. But if things are getting a little bit wider, you might actually like to take the knees a bit further. And from here, we drop the belly, the ribs, the chest. I love to curl the toes and stretch through all 10 toes. As you exhale, point the toes, round the spine, tuck the tail, drop the head, push the floor away from you. And let's see if, as you move through your cat and cow with your own breath, if you can really let your body create more space. Yeah, it's not just to complete the movement, but can each movement that we make, even each breath that we take, invite a little bit more space. Beautiful. Coming back to center here. Again, the knees will want to be wider than the hips. The hands want to be a little bit further forward. We're going to take a second. So imagine swinging your hips back towards the left corner, towards the heels, across to the right, and then shifting forward any amount that feels appropriate for you. Big circles of hips around the knees, shoulders around the wrist. And as you start to shift and move, notice that connection that you still have with faith. As we get a little bit bigger in the front body there, it's almost easier to recognize that connection, more challenging when we're a little bit smaller in the front body. We're going to change the direction of those big circles now. Feeling yourself try to lift your baby up to the spine, to the back of the body. And if at any stage the movement doesn't feel appropriate for you, just change it up. Go back to cat and cow, another little shift or rock that feels good. Keep that baby lifting up towards you. As we come back, we're going to find a traditional full point kneel. So hands and knees under hips and shoulders if you can. Press down into both palms. Just stretch the right leg back. You plug the toes, the ball of the foot down. Push back so the heel stretches away, the right leg stays long, straight, and strong. And you feel your baby lifting up the back of your body as you push firmly down. Good. You might like to stay here or begin to float the right leg up. Even an option to lift the left arm up, but we're going to hold it. We're not going to go up and down. Check if your chest or your baby have dropped down to the floor, and rather could you lift away, reaching arm and leg further apart. We hold. Option to stay right here or use your exhale breath to open arm and leg out to their respective side. Inhale, return to the midline for 3. Open out on the exhale breath. No other movement, just the limb for 2. We're going to take one more leg. And then please replace that left hand down. Take the right leg, just cross it over the left. It's all the way to the left side. You've plugged those toes down into the mat. And I just want you to turn your head. Look back over the left shoulder. Perhaps start to draw the left shoulder and rib towards the left hip, opening a little bit more down the right side of the body. Keep lifting ribs away, belly away from the floor. Good. Give yourself another breath. Any pinching or tenderness around the pubic bone, so just return that right leg behind you. Coming back into the center, place that right knee down. Come onto the tips of the fingers. not just by sitting on them, but feel like you're scooping up the mat so the center of your palm hollows out and lift. Good. Again, I want you to drop belly, ribs, chest, take a deep breath in, extending the spine, and then exhale, round and flex. Now, as we continue to move through our pregnancy journey, our extension, our arching will naturally become a little bit smaller. Yeah, but we might have to mindfully make it a little bit smaller. We don't want to really flare the ribs too much here. We want to avoid any separation of the upper abdomen. So letting your extension be a little bit smaller, but still inviting you if it feels good. Last time. Like down into the palms of the hands, find that neutral pelvis and spine where you feel yourself and baby lifting away from the floor. We'll stretch the left leg back, and as you curl the toes, hug the ball of the foot down, push back into the heel. Feel that beautiful stretch on the calves. Tend to start to get a bit tighter, more sensitive, and a lot more blood flow down into the lower legs. So this is where we start to notice some cramping. Yeah, so you might want to just stay right here. If it feels appropriate, go ahead and float that left leg up. Squeeze through the glute, hug through the inner thighs to the midline. Lift more, baby lift, and then option to lift the right arm up. Reaching arm and leg long and strong away. You're pressing down to all the points of contact that your body makes with the floor. See if you could lift a little further away. You can stay or use your exhale breath to open arm and leg out to their respective sides. And then inhale, return. But what you're looking for is stability along the length of the spine, through the hips and the shoulders. That's it. Like you're sweeping across a bench top one more time. Fantastic. You'll place your right palm firm, and then the left leg crosses over top behind the right. Plant those toes down. Again, any pinching in the pubic bone, front of the pelvis here, just slide up the body. You look back over the right shoulder. Then maybe start to bring right shoulder towards right hip, and check that the spine hasn't started to arch. You haven't dropped your baby away from your spine. Lift. Lift the space even between the shoulder blades. So feel that space down the left side of the body. Unraveling really. This time we're going to drop down to our elbows and our forearms. You'll probably lock the knees a little bit wider. Elbows are under shoulders, so forearms are parallel. We're going to start here just by rocking backwards and forward. Knees are wider, big toes start to come a little closer. Just rocking back and forth. This is your first option. That might be enough. Notice how heart just a little bit lower than hips here. Or you might like to take kind of a U shape. So you bring your hips towards the right, bring them back to the left, bring them forward up the left, and then back on the left, across to the right, forward on the right. So we're just kind of making a big U shape. Keep that neck nice and long. So you don't really want to be looking straight out in front of you, but rather down below. Ribs, belly lift. One more each way. When you're ready, you're going to settle into your child's pose, letting the knees be as wide as they need to be to make room for belly. Big toes touch, and you decide. Here, if extending your arms all the way out, resting your forehead on the floor, means belly's kind of collapsed or compressed. So I have the block either under the forehead or under the arms or the elbows here. Good, and give yourself just a moment to land. Can you find yourself in a space that feels sustainable to stay? I'm going to work a little bit with our breath and our pelvic floor. I want you to just imagine, just briefly here, the pelvic floor a little bit like a jellyfish. And as we breathe in, the jellyfish or the pelvic floor is going to expand. It's going to get bigger, open, soft. And then as we exhale, we're going to gently lift, contract the pelvic floor from all directions. The jellyfish starts to hug in, lifts up towards the belly. As you're bringing that jellyfish towards your belly. As you breathe in, we'll let jellyfish, pelvic floor expand. As you exhale, start to lift the pelvic floor. You start to hug the sides of your waist around in the front of the body. You might even notice your belly lift a little away from the floor. So again, you're working with your own breath. It's okay if you're breathing faster or slower than I was cueing, but we're looking to feel the softening, the expansion of the entire pelvic floor. The belly grows soft with each breath in. And then with each breath out, there's that gentle contraction lift of pelvic floor first, then lower abdomen, sides of waist, front of belly. And there's not much that you're doing here to control it, but on that inhale breath, as the jellyfish expands, the diaphragm presses down towards the pelvis. And as you're exhaling, getting that gentle contraction, starting from pelvic floor, then from lower, middle, upper abdomen, diaphragm then rises up. So the diaphragm acts like a little pump. This pump helps to shift us into a more relaxed state, a rest, relaxed, renewal, digest state. And meanwhile, we're getting a little bit of connectivity and awareness of our pelvic floor. Let this be the last one. This is by no means the only way to work with your pelvic floor, but a really nice way to work with your and to quickly, easily shift you back into a more parasympathetic mode. So that's that rest and digest. Let's start to crawl back up and start to bring things on a little bit. I'm going to add my blocks here. They're going to be on the second plate on either side of the mat now. We're going to come all the way up towards the high kneeling position. And curl the 10 toes under. I usually have to sit back and make sure that baby toe is really tucked in. We'll start in the high kneeling position. Pubic bone up, tail down. We just start to reach the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Can you feel tail down a little more, pubic bone? As you exhale, drop the right arm down to the right side, lean to the right. Left arm stretching overhead. Good. Give yourself another full breath. Inhale all the way back up. Reach as tall as you can. Lift the ribs up off the hips. Think about giving baby more space. And then left hand down the left side body, right arm up and overhead. Just twisting, no compressing here. Yeah. And then I'll come all the way back. And then exhale. Release the arms down in front of the chest and the shoulder. Keep those toes curled. Give the hips, the glutes a bit of a contraction. I just want you to hinge your way backwards. And then hinge your way forward. Beautiful. That's the hinge back. There's no arching here, so you have tail tucked, pubic bone up. You might feel your thighs talk to you a little bit. Yeah. Giving yourself two more like this. Maybe your toes and your feet are tucked into it. Check that tail is staying down. Next time back, we're going to hold it there. You feel a little bit of heat in the thighs, the abdomen, ribs, hips connect. We inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, drop the arms down. Keep them strong. Inhale, arms up. Keep the hinge back. You might be leaning back further than me, but there's no backward bend here. Spine is long. Use your breath. Deepen the breath. Let there be a little more expansion. Make more room. Get it all out. Last one. And let's come all the way forward. Hands down, toes point. You can tap the top of the feet up there. Now I'm going to straighten that right leg behind once again. So reach it back. And then just shift your body weight backwards a little bit. Shift it forward. Yeah. Shift it backwards. This time as you shift it forward, bring the right knee a little bit outside of the right upper arm. Doesn't have to get very far. Good. One more like this. We're going to use that to help set the right foot forward outside of the right hand. Once it's landed, you might grab your block. You might find you need to crawl that right foot more forward or the left knee back. But go ahead and slide the hips and the left thigh forward and down. Check that you're not actually leaning your body weight into the block. But the blocks are helping you to feel light, to feel lifted and elevated. So are rolling back and down. Outer right hip is pulling backward. Pubic bone is pulling up and front. Give yourself another breath to be. We're going to push a little more intentionally into the left hand. Use that to help lift you, make you feel buoyant. We stretch the right arm forward, up to the ceiling. And then all the way behind, maybe your head can follow the right hand. Inhale to circle it forward and up. Exhale to stretch it backwards and down. Good. One more. We're going to hold that right arm reaching backwards. Now, this might be where you want to stay. You're welcome to bend the back left knee, grab the left foot if that still fits in your body. Pulling the heel a bit closer to the bottom. And then make sure that you're not compressing the belly with the inner right thigh. So now, I'm not just letting my right leg flop or flail out to the side. I'm just let it move or shift a little bit or more open to make room for the belly. Look back over the right arm and shoulder if you can. No dropping and collapsing into the left hand, using it to help you lightly lift buoyantly. And we release that back down. Go ahead, place both hands down to the floor or block. Your choice to keep the left knee down or this time curl the left toes and lift up. You're in a deep lizard lunge. You want that right knee to hug into the right upper arm, and maybe you can sink the hips a little low. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Lead with the breastbones forward. With that left heel. Give yourself one more breath. And rest the left knee down one more time. You're going to straighten the front right leg. Good. Crawling the hands or the blocks in. We're going to keep our hands on the inside today, not going outside of the leg. So with the right toes lifted, heel pulls backwards, hip pulls backwards. Try almost to extend through the spine. Yeah, so we don't want to round and flex across the tail, but rather a little bit back and up. Broaden across the collarbones, draw the breastbone forward. So it's actually not so much about how far down we go here, but how long can we keep the spine and the side of the waist, so that the most important part here, baby, has room. Yeah, if I round and flex and compress, baby has less and less space to move, to breathe. Yeah. And as you draw breastbone forward, hips back, particularly that right hip back, feel the leg throw behind the back. Right. Let's take another full breath. I want the block back down out in front. I'm going to shift the body weight forward. And then using a heel toe movement. So I'm going to take toes out, heel, toe, heel. I'm going to take toes out one more time. So my leg is roughly out towards about a 2 o'clock, if you can imagine, 12, 1, 2. And then from here, I'm going to let my body shift a little bit out to the right and back in. Now, if you need to adjust the position of your blocks and your hands, no problem. So we're just going to let ourselves shift a bit out towards roughly 2 o'clock and then back. The right leg might get straight as you shift your hips, that might not. One more leg. Bending into the right knee. And we use the hands gently to feel our way back up. Good. So the right knee tracking out in line with the second toe, with the hips, the ribs, the collarbone still square to the front. Think those hips out to the right just a little bit. Let's stretch the arms up, locking the thumbs at the top so your fingers are spread wide. As you reach up, make sure the ribs haven't lifted, flared out. Good tail down, big reach up. Here's our inhale breath. As you exhale, just lean gently to the right. Let's inhale, lift back up. There's a little bit of pulling on the thumb. Exhale, lean gently to the right. Good, one more time. Holding it over there. Good. Now you're bending deeper into the right knee. You're leaning a little further to the right side. You might find this is more than enough and you need to actually rest a hand on your right leg to support you. Fine, no problem. Or we're going to unbind the thumb, spin our torso to the right and open the arm. But lean a little bit forward. Not so much that you're resting your baby on your thigh, but just a little. Drop the hips a little deeper. Give yourself another breath. Notice the elements of strength and stability coming into play, not just strength. Let's keep the arms all the way up. Reach up. And then release the hands down. We're just going to toe heel all the way back so the right foot is lining up with the left knee, or more like that, 3 o'clock. Right hip down, left hip up, and left arm up. Big inhale. Exhale. Leaning up out and over to the right side for our gate pose. You could stay. I like to take the left hand, place it behind the head, lean the head back into the hand, stretching elbow away from hip. Yeah, hip away from knee. Maybe taking that right hand, reconnecting to that of baby here at the front of the bum. And then go ahead and release. We're going to come back to that kneeling position, but this time the toes tucking under. If you can, you're going to take it back to low kneeling, a little bit of a toe stand. Yeah. So make sure baby toes are tucked all the way under. Now you know that if this doesn't fit, you can come back to that high kneeling that we were in previously. Good. Lift up through the crown of the head. Roll the shoulders back and down. Give yourself a chance to breathe. And whether you're in low or high kneeling, arms reach all the way up on your neck. Taking your right arm, wrapping it under your left arm. If the arms can, they're going to cross all the way up like rope, and you'll press your palms together. Yeah, if they look a little bit more like this, that's okay, but try to get the upper arms to cross. You might be holding your shoulders bent back. We want the elbows to stay lifted off the chest, and we'll just draw some big circles here, just with the arms. Elbows making big circles. Breathing through that strong sensation that you're experiencing in the heart. Just unravel the arms briefly. Stretch the arms to the side. Palms are facing up. You might lift the breastbone, even lift the chin. And then release. If your toes are unbearable, we're going to take the toes out, point them. We're going to take the knees wide. And then rest the forehead down. It might need to land onto a block, onto a bolster or a cushion. And we're just letting the shoulders relax, the hips drop heavy. Again, your knees wide enough that you can fit your baby right between your palms. Go ahead, press back up. And come back into that breathing yogi toe stand. Yeah, so those toes really tucking under. Just give yourself a moment to land there and breathe. You might even relate this to that of a contraction. That's roughly moving towards 60-second contraction, rebreathing in and out for nice long, smooth, calm breath. And we can get through 1 minute of any. Arms reach up. This time the left arm wraps under the right arm. Maybe you're holding shoulders, maybe your whole upper arm, forearms crossed. Doesn't matter. Relax the shoulders, but lift the elbows. Then draw some steps. And if you find one way feels better than the other, go with that. Try both. Just a little massage for that space between the shoulder blades, behind the shoulders. You're probably carrying around a lot right now. A lot of tension, a lot of researching, and a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns. Lift the arms open, palms are up, thumbs right back. You're welcome to lift the breastbone, lift the chin. And down. Pose, come out again. And take the knees really wide. And I want you to be able to sit the hips right back into the heels. You won't need blocks this time. I'm going to show you a variation that you can use for rolling cobra if you can no longer lie on your belly. Yeah? Still in the first trimester, it's safe. I found it wasn't comfortable pretty early on in my pregnancy, so it's entirely up to you. So if you do feel comfortable, you'd rather lie on your belly here, feel free. Otherwise, we have the knees nice and wide like a child pose. Come high on your fingertips so they're wider than your yoga mat. And you keep those elbows pointing up to the ceiling. Same would be if you're lying on your belly. We drop all the way down, let the forehead kiss the mat. And then on your breath in, just let the forehead peel up, chin up, chest up, lift up. And then as you exhale, it's like belly drop, ribs drop, chest drop, chin drop, forehead drop. And you continue. Just undulating the spine. Now, if you're on your knees like me, we'll lift a lot higher. Yeah, if you're on the belly, you'll keep your lower belly on. You might keep your middle belly on. Might only come to the wrist. Let's take a few more like that. So the option in any of your yoga practices, if the rest of the class is lying on their belly, you can always just come to this variation. Beautiful option here. We're gonna lift up and twist to the right. So on the inhale breath, little twist. Stay in that gentle twist, and then drop just the left shoulder. Inhale, come up, twist to the left. Drop just the right shoulder back. Inhale, all the way up in the center. As you drop back down, press down into the palms of the hands. And I want you to try to come up with a round spine. So head left, push floor away, heel and roll yourself up. Use it back towards the midline. And we come all the way up to that high kneeling position. Okay. So from here, let's take a deep breath and reach the arms up. And then drop the arms down in line with the chest. Now, we've worked those toes a lot. We're going to keep the toes pointed this time, but all the other principles remain the same. Tail down, pubic bone up, rib tips connect. Side to glutes are firm. We hinge back on an exhale. And we use the inhale to come forward. Exhale back. Breathing out the nose if you can. Inhale forward. You might be going back a little bit further than me. Okay. If it feels appropriate, we're going to add a little bit of a rotation. We're going to take that right arm up on the way back and open to the right side. Sweep it forward across like you're traveling along the horizon. Left arm coming up and back. There's no arching of the spine. Try to have control of the ribs, the spine, the torso. Up and back. The thighs remain firm. Up and back. If that twisting's not working for you, you just keep those arms moving up and down. Or keep them out in front of you. This is our last one. We'll come forward, rest the hands down, out in front of you. You want those blocks a little bit more towards the midline. And then we'll take the left leg straight back and off the floor, lifting the leg off the floor. Without any tension or pain into the pelvic floor, the pubic bone. And just stay upright, step the left foot forward. Otherwise, we're going to shift, rock the body forward here with a straight left leg one time. Heel back, hips go back. As you come forward this time, left knee comes towards the left upper arm. Like get anywhere near. Well, this time as you rock forward, you'll step that left foot forward outside of the left hand. You might find you, as you come to blocks, you need to really curl that left foot more forward or that right knee back. Remember, the blocks are not here for us to just collapse into. They're here to help lift us up. Bring the floor a little bit closer, sure. But lift us up, allow the upper body to feel buoyant. Now, I'm still quite open in the hip, but I want you to really listen to your body here. This right hip, it can move forward and down, but we don't want it to be at this place where because there's a real intentional connection of the pubic bone up towards the navel. The left outer hip here is pulling backwards, so the pelvis is level. Yeah. You do want to feel firm in that back right leg, so it's not just stretch. Yeah, there's stability here. Another full round of breath and just let yourself be in that moment with that breath. Yeah. And then from here, we'll slowly start to toe heel the foot. Oh, just open the foot a little bit wider, sorry. Push into that right hand. Peel the left arm up to the ceiling and take a nice twist open to the spine. You want to make sure we're pressing down into the right hand to lift. Swing that left arm all the way around behind. The left arm swings forward. Inhaling forward and up. Exhaling, it swings back and down. I'm going to take this just one more time, holding with the left arm reaching to the back edge of the mat. Remember, you could stay or bend your right knee, clasp onto the right foot if that's appropriate. But at no stage have you collapsed to the hip, to the lumbar spine. We want to feel lifted. Chest is opening. And remember, no pressing belly onto the left side. Give yourself the room, the space that it needs. So you might open up a little further. One more breath. Go ahead and release that foot down. And down. And now let's take that toe heel. And remember, if we're looking at an imaginary clock, 12 would be out in front. We're going to go past 11 towards 10 o'clock. We want the Left knee to track in line with the second toe. You might need to bring your hands or your blocks a little bit closer. And we're actually just shifting out in that diagonal line towards that 10 o'clock movement. Yeah, your left leg might get straight on the way back. It might not. Yeah. Feeling that pelvic floor soften and open. Inner thighs, groin, hammies, hips, glutes, everything. And we'll hold with that left knee bend. Then push the floor away. And come all the way up. Check here. The knee is out in line with the second toe, but hips, the ribs, and collarbone square to the front. Good. Sink a little bit out into that left knee and then arms reach up. Locking the opposite thumb in front on top, reach, lift, but drop those front ribs down. Up a little bit higher as you're breathing deeply. You feel like thumbs are pulling apart as you exhale, lean to the left side. Just a little glide. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. Inhale up. Here we go. We're going to stay over there this time, so don't take it too far. But know that you could place your left hand down into the left thigh or knee if you like. Yeah, we're leaning to the right, left side. Pulling that right thumb a little bit more. From here, you can either drop the left hand to the left side or split the hands apart. Start to twist so you're looking over to the left. And then lean your torso over. It's coming out a little bit over that left thigh. Your belly doesn't rest on the thigh. Arms are staying pulled back. This should be one of the more challenging postures that we've been in so far. Let the hips drop a little more. Breathe calmly, deeply. And then all the way back. Good. Unravel the spine, drop the arms. You're going to keep pulling those left toes back here. So the left foot lines up with the right knee. So we set up for gate pose. Level out the hips. Just sweep the right arm up. So it's really lifting your rib cage off of the hip, more room for baby. And then we lean over gently to the left. There's no weight or pressure in your left hand. We just hold here, breathe calm. And this right hand could come behind the head, cup the back of the head if you'd like. The head just lean, rest back, lay back into the hand. So you can feel this elbow pulling more away from the rib. The ribs pulling more away from the hip for baby. And the hip pulling a little bit away from the knee. Maybe you place your left hand across onto the belly, reconnect. And then we go all the way back up. We're coming out this side a little bit differently. We're going to re-crawl the feet back to the front. Left foot to the front, yeah. Coming forward, we want those hands up on high blocks. And make sure you have enough space so you can get this left leg totally straight. Toes, you can't see, they're flexed up to the ceiling. The hips are stacked in line with the right knee. We're not actually trying to pull the bum back further than the knee. And we roll the shoulders back. Now, you don't have to be all the way up on the side high. If it is comfy, you can still be hands on floor or block. But notice the difference in lengthening, making more space on the side of the body, yeah, or flexing the spine. You don't want. We're going to take that tailbone a little bit back and pull the outer left hip back. Like the left heel is getting dug down into the mat and then it's pulling back. Ease, calm. Breathe deep. 2 more breaths. One. I'm going to place that left foot flat, but have the toes turning out to the left side as much as it feels appropriate. Push down, and let's encourage you to use both your blocks here as we lift that back, the right knee up. You can keep the knee on the floor if you need to, but otherwise we have that breath really straight, strong, stretching back, getting long from crown of head to tail, roaring breath going forward here. And that full variation of our lizard lunge, maybe your chest dropping down. Now soften to the back right knee. Step the right foot outside of the right hand in the block. The toes are turning out, and we just sink those hips as low as you can with the feet flat on the floor. I'm going to go from the side first. You can see But we want the spine to be able to get tall, not trying to scrunch and round in. I'll also go from the front for a moment here. Okay, so we're looking for the knees to be able to roll open, the arches of the feet be able to stay lifted, with the balls of the feet, the heels, the outer blades pressed down. All of this is really important. For some of us, that looks more like hips are way up here. Knees are open. Now, you can sit on your block if that feels better. Take some of the weight of the support out. But we're not going to put all of our weight in our arms and tighten up my shoulders and compress. Here we want to feel light and lift. I'm going to go back on the side now. You stay as you are. A couple more breaths in our malasana, our yogi squat. If we put together some of the diaphragmatic breaths that we did before, that jellyfish-like breath, how much just feel. And using this downward force of gravity now. As you breathe in, the pelvic floor soften and expand. The belly soften and expands, the diaphragm is pressing down. As you exhale, gently contract pelvic floor, lift up. Sides of waist and belly hug in and lift. The diaphragm actually lifts. Inhale, drop down. Exhale, gently lift. Feel the tummy drawing in. Good, 2 more. One more like that. Place your hands back for the floor. Lift the hips, let the toes spin forward, and you want your feet wide enough that you can fit your belly between your thighs. So some of us might still be at hip distance apart, some of us barely on our mat anymore. Soften the knees, let the upper body drape forward, and you might find you still need support with the hands on the blocks now. You might find that holding the elbows still feels really good for you. And wherever your body needs to be to feel supported as well as free. Yeah, if going a bit deeper actually adds more compression to your belly, to your baby. You don't want that. So let your practice start to take on a new shape, just as your body, just as your life is beginning. Good, one more full breath. And very mindfully, I want you to bend those knees, keep the head heavy. We're going to roll the spine up slowly. Rounded spine on the way up this time. As you arrive to the top, set your shoulders back and down, in the palms to face forward. Take a deep breath in, reach both arms all the way up and overhead. As you exhale, press palms, pull down the midline of your body, keeping your left hand on your heart, resting your right hand on your baby. And coming back into connection. Let's continue on. So feet are still quite wide. I'll sweep the arms up in a big circle, inhaling. As you exhale this time, palms spread. Toes turn slightly up, heels slightly in as we bend the knees. You're going to go as low as you can into that malasana squat. As you breathe in, hands down, head down. Hold the breath gently and lift the pelvic floor, lift the hips up. Good. Now exhale, let the spine be round as you roll your way up. The shoulders step back. Let's try that again. Inhale, arms reaching up. Palms press as you exhale, bend through the knees. Draw your way down to your squat. Hands down, touching blocks of floor. Inhale, head down. Good. Hold the breath if you can. Lift the pelvic floor along with the hips. And then exhale, round spine rolls you up. Shoulders back. Big breath in. This is our last one. Like dropping down to malasana. As you let head drop, hands drop, breathe in. Here's a little gesture of surrender. Hold, lift the hips. Round the spine, easy exhale, rest to come back up. Again, shoulders back, just bring your toes to face forward. The inhale will stretch the arms overhead. One more time, we'll pull hands down the midline, resting left hand to heart, right hand to baby. And come into connection. We're going to make our way back down. We are passing through a downward facing dog, so you have the option if you have two of the exact same type of books or blocks, and they won't slide on your mat. You can take this on block today, or you're welcome to do it with your hands on the floor. Okay, we'll do it together. Take a deep breath in, arms up. As you exhale, we're going to fold forward over a bent knee, but a long spine, no round spine. Okay? I'm going to place the blocks so they're about as wide as the shoulders and down on the first type. Then inhale, lift up to fingertips. They might even have to lift off those blocks. Good. As you exhale, push into the palms into blocks. Step their feet back. Make sure they're not on the blanket. The downward facing dog. Now, you'll have to adjust your blocks until you get used to this position, or just curl your feet back. You want your fingers to be able to stay spread wide. If this is not appropriate for you, hands back down to the floor. If you notice your blocks sliding at all on the mat, just walk away. Soften in your knee. Use this to help you slope the tip of the tail back enough. Can you push harder forward and down through the arms so the sides of the ribs and shoulders, sides of the waist get longer? Give yourself 2 more breaths. Downward facing dog isn't feeling good anymore. You could set the knees down, take a little puppy pose, a heart opening. And then go ahead and bring the feet either closer together or lean a little bit into the left foot. Just so you can lift that right leg up. Please stretch up. And we're going to set that right foot towards the right hand or block. Good. Once it's arrived, we're going to set the back left knee down. Point the toes. Good. I like to prop the blocks up for a moment here, just so I have more space. We're going to curl right foot across to the left side here, setting yourself up for your pigeon. Yeah, I lace my back left knee on a blanket. The right shin knee come down, and then we're just checking. I'm not collapsing forward, and I'm absolutely not collapsing to the outer right thigh and hip. Stay in the center, okay? In order to keep that center, you might find you need to support the hips with a block, yeah, or a bolster. Ideally, we're pulling that outer right hip backwards. And maybe you could even curl the hands backwards just a little bit so you're a bit more buoyant. Then when it feels appropriate to start to pull forward, you might find that you do need to rest the elbows or the hands on blocks or on the bolster so that your belly isn't just flat on the mat anymore. Yeah, and remember there's no amount of props here that's too much to support you. You want to feel a nice, deep, but sustainable release through the hips, particularly that right glute, your humerus, all these muscles getting. So it's interesting because the pelvis is expanding and softening with relaxing. But in doing so, we create a bit of instability in that pelvis. And so some of our stabilizing muscles start to take over, work a little bit extra hard. And so they start to feel really taut. Yeah, so here we get to stretch that piriformis muscle, particularly glutes, of course. Yes, I'm in my feet. Getting yourself a breath or two. I think probably not been a day that I've gone by that I haven't done a pigeon pose or at least a glute stretch. I just have to do it. My hips are screaming at me each day. Now, we are going to come back to that downward facing dog, and so you might find that doing that, the hands on the blocks is appropriate. Or else go ahead and place them off to the side. Pull your back left toe, lift the knee, and then step the right foot. I'm going to pedal it out this time. But setting up hands, arms, shoulders, upper body first, lower body, and then begin. Bend one knee, extend the other. And you may have your feet actually quite wide here. Get wider and wider in downward facing dog over the course of pregnancy. Good. And then either bring the feet a little bit closer together or leaning physically to the right side, whatever feels best for you. You'll just get that left leg to lift up. Good, and we're stepping that left foot towards the left wrist or hand. Press the back right knee down. And just to give us more space, I'd like to lift the blocks up, shift those out of the way for now. Good. Hands down, you're curling the left foot across to the right side of your mat. And then we just shift the body weight forward. Then you can set the shin and the knee down. But try not to set the left hip and bum down. Yeah, keep the hip square. Maybe you slide your back right knee back more. Or you curl your hands back forward, but we feel buoyant. We feel light and lifted. I don't feel light very often anymore. Yeah. And then we hug the left hip back. Start to sink down. Remember the block under the outer left hip, beautiful option. Or blocks under the elbow so that the belly doesn't have to rest to the mat or to the calf muscles here. Here to suggest this time, let's just close down the eyes. Go ahead and drop into your own breath and let's see if we can experience that breath in all directions. At this space, 360 degrees of a full breath in. And complete breath out. You might drag that breath down through the back of the throat, creating that ujjayi breath down. And this breath particularly useful after we've just been through a contraction, when we were working those really deep belly breaths. Yeah, and then we come out of a contraction and we're a little bit overwhelmed, a lot going on. We'll use the sound and sensation of that breath through the back of the throat, hear it, feel it. Start to bring us back down, settle, grounded, and then we return to my gentle, subtle, relaxed breath, sleep-like breath. And then let's start to press up on the hands. Got it? Tail the toes, and we can do this with or without blocks. Last time we're going to pass up and through downward facing dog. Puppy pose is an option. Child pose if you prefer. You might choose stillness or pedaling. This is the end of the deeper work today. Let's go ahead and press both knees down. Lift the upper body up. Just swing the legs around in front. I'm going to come towards a bit of a diamond shape. Yeah. So legs look like butterfly, but they're much further out in front of you. And we'll just tap gently forward from the hip. Let the spine be a bit soft. So we're not going to stay strong and rigid here, but let everything kind of go soft. You get hands or elbows resting on those blocks if that feels good. And the head drops, and kind of just allow everything to start to turn in. Again, a great opportunity to close down the eyes. Bring that connection back to baby. Breathing in through the nose, into the heart. Continuing that breath from your heart into that baby. And the breath out, release. Inhaling an affirmation. We are connected. And we do this together. Inhaling, we are connected. Coming up. And we're doing this together. The whole journey. Really, when it comes down to our breath time, and the real team effort, you have to work with your way. They'll guide you. We're designed to do this. But the connection between the two of you building throughout your pregnancy with a maybe pivotal. You don't have to race or to hurry. We'll let them come when their time is ready. We'll let them guide us. To give them a little more space so they can get into their optimal position. And then eventually we'll breathe them back into this world. And we'll slowly feel yourself. I'm going to invite you into your most comfortable reclined position. And that might mean just laying on the left side of your body. Now that might mean setting up your bolster again with one or two blocks. And again, early on in your pregnancy, a full shavasana lying flat on the back still feels good. Absolutely. Be here so long, so give yourself time to settle in. A place that you feel comfortable closing down the eyes. Giving yourself some time and space. Let go of any control that we have over the breath now. Go of any control we have over the body. And just instead, feeling into those natural rhythms of our breath and our body. A natural exchange, a natural dance. Receiving and releasing. Rising and falling. Welcoming and the feel of our pregnancy journey that was standing in place. Will be about riding the waves of natural rhythm or depth. So if we tune in now, familiar, comfortable, listening to our own innate rhythm, they're going to shift, they're going to change, certainly going to intensify. But we know with each rise, there will be a rhythm. How strong the take. You know that it's inevitable. You are lying on your back, please. And I use the of your head. Taking time to just pause, rise up, pause. Pause on step, coming back to the conscious connection with our babies. If you're one or both hands resting on the belly. Feeling that breath that you share, that blood you share, that energy, you share. And then every movement that you make, every breath that you take, stretching your weight. And then further building this connection in the two of you. Take the arms up overhead just one last time, join your palms, guiding the hands down the midline to the third eye center, to the lips, to the heart. And let the hands land down onto your belly. What an honor it was to share this time with you. And this time connecting you to your heart. Transition back into your little beautiful water in your body. Feel good, feel better and just throughout your practice. So we can breathe in where this is starting to feel good. Sneak it in, feel a little bit more, a little bit more. For me, and movement of some kind on a daily basis helps me to stay grounded, stay energized, and actually, in those first few months, really very slow. Even though I didn't want to move, the movement actually helped to alleviate those things more we are. Took a lot more to get on the mat than it did just I was hopefully listen to what feels